You're lying in bed, lights off, phone 6 inches from your face. You open your banking app, mostly out of habit, mostly out of dread, and there it is, magical 20,000. For the first time in your life, the number in your savings starts with a 2 and has 4 zeros after it. You stare at it a little longer than you'd admit. You feel a tiny bit taller. You start mentally upgrading your life. Nicer apartment, actual vacation, not just sleeping at my parents' place. Maybe even a car that doesn't make that coughing noise every morning. Here's the part nobody tells you. The moment you look safe on paper, the world around you shifts. Your bank suddenly offers a premium card with shiny metal and a higher limit. Your investing ad pops up, advanced features, margin options, and pro tools. Your feed is full of people your age renovating kitchens, flying business class, buying cars with giant bows on them. Meanwhile, the Federal Reserve's latest survey says about 37% of adults wouldn't be able to cover a $400 emergency just from cash or money in the bank. They'd have to borrow, sell something, or maybe not pay it at all. So just getting to 20,000 already puts you ahead of a huge chunk of people. That's why it feels like crossing the finish line. Here's the wild twist. For a lot of people who actually hit that number, their savings are lower the next year. Not because they're lazy, because the rules of the game change right after they win. If you treat 20,000 like the end of the story, you end up on this awful roller coaster. Up to 20,000, down to 5,000 after a car repair, crawl back to 18,000, surprise medical bill, back to 3,000, repeat for a decade. If you treat 20,000 like level 1, you can set a rule that you don't drop below that line again and use everything above it to quietly buy yourself time, options, and actual freedom. My name is Joe, and I'm obsessed with how money actually works. Once you stop living paycheck to paycheck, everyone online keeps telling you, just get to 20,000, then compounding will take care of the rest. That's half true. The other half's the part that hurts. Everyone says the hard part is getting to 20,000. That's phase 1. This video is about phase 2, why everything changes after that number and how not to let the system eat it. Quick thing before we get into it properly. I'm not a financial advisor, and this is not personal financial advice. I'm just some nerd who reads way too many reports about how money and incentives actually work. Use this as education and entertainment and as ideas to think about, not as a blueprint for your exact life. If you're making big money moves, talk to a professional who actually knows your situation. Let's start with the part that feels the most personal. You're finally doing everything right. You cut back, you sold some stuff, you took on a side gig for a while. Your savings crawl from $200 to $2,000 to $7,500, and then your transmission dies, or your dog eats a sock, or you get that lovely "we adjusted your rent" email. Back down you go. If you feel like every time your savings grow, life just reaches in and takes it, that's not you being bad with money. That's almost everyone right now. Americans are only saving around 4 to 5% of their disposable income on average. Official numbers from BEA and USA Facts put the personal saving rate at about 4.5% in 2023 and 2024, which is roughly half what was normal back in the 1960s and 70s. That means the entire system is basically tuned so most people never wander too far away from kinda stressed. So when you claw your way to 10,000, 15,000, 20,000, it feels huge. You look at that number and think, okay, that's it, I made it, I'm safe now. But watch what happens next. A couple of big expenses hit in a row. You tell yourself that's what the savings are there for, and you're not wrong, but there's no rule in your head about how low you're allowed to go. So you fix the car, help a family member, upgrade your phone, go on the trip you've been postponing, and you're back at $6,000. You didn't fail, you just treated 20,000 like a destination instead of a line you don't cross downwards anymore. And here's where people start thinking, okay, so I'm broken, I just can't keep money. You're not broken, you just never got the level 2 instructions. So what actually changes at 20,000? Because it's not just your bank balance hitting. Hitting 20,000 is a weird emotional experience. Your brain flips from "I'm drowning" to "I might be okay." You go from panicking over every surprise bill to thinking, "Annoying, but I can deal with it." At the same time, the outside world flips how it sees you. Your bank flags you as someone worth selling to. Your inbox gets exclusive credit offers. Apps start suggesting bigger loans, higher limits, personal lines of credit. On paper, hitting 20,000 looks like the finish line, but there's a catch. It's also the moment the money world starts trying a lot harder to separate you from that cash. You notice it in tiny ways. Travel sites start showing you the nicer hotel rooms by default. Your credit card pre-approvals suddenly have 5 figures on them. You tell yourself, I can finally live a little, because you remember how awful it felt when your balance was at $20, not $20,000. Psychologically, this makes total sense. For years, your brain was in please don't let anything explode mode. You were just trying to calm things down. Now you finally have a buffer. Of course you want a reward. Meanwhile, the system around you is counting on that. Banks don't make much money from someone at zero. They make money from people who look stable but are easy to tempt into long, profitable contracts. That's the rich tax no one calls a tax. And this sits on top of a bigger structural problem. The average person is already only saving a tiny sliver of their income in the first place. So once those temptations land, there's not a lot of extra margin to absorb mistakes. That would all be fine if the math automatically rescued you once you hit 20,000. But the math has its own timeline. Let's talk about that math, because this is where things can start working in your favor. When your account balance is tiny, almost all of the progress comes from your deposits, not from growth. If you've got $2,000 invested and the market gives you 10% in a year, that's $200. Nice, but it doesn't change your life. At $20,000, that same 10% is $2,000. Still not quit your job money, but you definitely feel it. Quick math. If you're putting away $1,000 a month and earning around 8% per year on average, it takes roughly a year and a half to get from $0 to $20,000. That's 18 to 19 months of saying no, cutting back, staying disciplined. And that 8% is based on long-term stock market averages, not a guaranteed number every year. Your second 20,000 doesn't take another 18 to 19 months. It's faster because the first pile is finally helping. Very roughly, at that point, your investments might be adding several thousand a year without you touching anything. Same person, same job, same monthly contribution, completely different slope on the graph. This is where compounding starts to feel real, not just like a meme. And there's an emotional shift too. Vanguard looked at this and found that people with at least about $2,000 set aside had financial well-being scores about 21% higher than similar people with no savings. In that same research, folks who also had 3 to 6 months of expenses saved up saw roughly another 13% bump. Translation, once you've got a solid buffer, your stress drops a lot. Your brain finally has room to think about growth instead of seeds of survival. Everyone talks about compounding like it's magic, but there's a catch. If you keep dipping into the pile, the math never gets a chance to do the thing you're counting on. If your account keeps yo-yoing back down every time it hits a new high, it's like planting a tree and ripping it out of the ground every spring. Some of you are probably thinking, Joe, I can't even get to 2,000 without something breaking. Why should I care about 20,000 and beyond? Fair question. Here's why. The habits you build of getting from 200 to 2,000 are the same habits you'll need to protect 20,000 and turn it into 50,000 or 100,000. And the world will fight you harder after you look stable than it did when you were obviously struggling. The point of this video isn't to flex a big number at you. It's to show you how to survive phase 1 so phase 2 doesn't wipe you out. Now let's talk about the weirdest trap I see after people hit that first milestone. You spend months, maybe years, being the responsible one. You pack lunches, you say no to trips, you resist random Amazon orders, you feel slightly boring at parties. Then you see that 20,000 and something in your identity shifts. I'm good with money now, I proved it. So you loosen the belt a bit. You start upgrading little things, nicer clothes, better dinners. You stop checking prices as closely. You tell yourself, I'm not broke anymore, I don't need to obsess over every dollar. You finally feel like a responsible adult with money, but there's a catch. That new identity can trick you into relaxing the exact habits that got you here. You're not doing anything outrageous, that's what makes it sneaky. A subscription here, a nicer apartment there. You start saying, I deserve this more often. And honestly, you do deserve nice things, that's not the issue. The
The issue is that your fixed costs quietly drift up until they're almost equal to your income again. Suddenly, your extra money disappears, and that 20,000 is doing all the heavy lifting with no backup. This is where a lot of people will say, okay, Joe, if money is still stressful after 20,000, then what's the point? I thought that number's supposed to calm everything down. It does calm some things down. You're not panicking over a flat tire. You're not counting every coffee. You're no longer one bad week away from overdrafting. But if you let lifestyle creep eat your new margin, you've basically traded one type of stress for another. Instead of, will I be able to pay rent, it's, am I going to screw up this chance to finally get ahead? And here's the really annoying part. The rest of the system is very, very happy to help you screw it up. Once your balance looks respectable, you become someone else's business model. Your bank suddenly rewards